Hi guys, I'm SimScott185 and you join us on the ground at Redhill Aerodrome. This is where I fly locally as a general aviation pilot. So it'd be good just to talk you guys through how we start up the aircraft and get yourselves started in terms of flying one circuit of the aerodrome. We're going to cover the startup of the aircraft, we'll taxi out to the runway, and then we'll do one circuit and look at the key areas that we look at. So let's jump into the aircraft. We can use the checklists that are built into Flight Simulator to do this and use the evaluation. It's pretty simple as a checklist and it's a simple aircraft. Parking brake is set.
Battery switch on.
Turn the battery switch.
Fuel shut-off valve.
Fuel shut-off
Open.
valve is horizontal
Throttle.
and open.
Idle.
Throttle's
PROP
idle.
speed control lever.
And RPM
Max RPM.
is set max. This is a constant speed propeller, guys, which is why you have a throttle and an RPM lever. Don't worry too much about that. We'll just leave them as they are in terms of the RPM, and we'll use the throttle as we go around the circuit. We can do more advanced videos just to check that. So let's start the engine. Again, use evaluation.
Electric
it helps.
fuel pump.
Fuel pump, you'll hear something ticky in the background when we turn this on.
On. Choke.
That is how it sounds in the real airplane, guys. It's behind you where you sit in the aircraft, and what it's doing is it's just giving a little bit more fuel to the engine while we start it. There is a choke button pull that you pull
On.
back.
Fully pulled.
That's fully pulled.
Ignition.
Then we'll start the engine.
Start. Throttle. Max 1500 RPM.
So
Oil pressure.
just
check.
checking the engine temperatures and pressures are in the right level. So at the moment, what can we see? Well, RPM slightly low. We might want to just push it up slightly, not above the 1500 mark, but that might start to circulate through hot oil into the engine and just creep up our oil temperature here. So you'll see at the moment that needle's coming up into the green, which is great. Pressure's in the green. We're happy with that. Let's move to the next page, guys. So electrical equipment on is
Electrical
required.
equipment.
Let's put on the strobes. Let's turn the avionics on and we'll put the
On as
position landing
required.
light.
Avionics
that's
master switch. On.
Avionics
Parking
is on.
brake.
Parking brake will release when we want to taxi. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's the aircraft started. You'll see there's a number of things that we can look at in terms of radios. We can turn on our transponder, and when you fly at Redhill, you would need to have this on because you are near the Gatwick air traffic zone. Gatwick airspace. Let's call it that airspace, guys. Sorry, I forgot the word. And so you want to be at the right height and in terms of the traffic coming into Gatwick, and we're not conflicting with them. So, like I know at Redhill, we squawk 767. It's actually slightly different when we do circuits now, but I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a while since we've flown, guys. The lockdown has not been particularly helpful to us. I'm just going to click out at the moment. That you normally do when you get towards the runway, but let's keep things simple as we can. So let's taxi over to the runway. So we're going to head out towards the east, so we'll take runway 08 right. We're going to do a left-hand circuit, so I'll show you a diagram of that and how that works. And yeah, look, we'll go from there and then take it forward, guys. Now we're going to taxi over to the runway. So we just pull the parking brake, release it. See that the pedals come back. The way to steer the katanas is it's differential. So if you press on the right pedal, it will go to the right in terms of the brake, and if you brake with your left foot, it will go to the left. The rudder is not connected. The rudder pedals are not connected to the front wheel. So let's just head off on our way. And taxi across the grass. Redhill is a grass aerodrome. We wouldn't go up onto the taxiway over there, and when taxiing, just keep the nose up so that the propeller doesn't hit the ground or doesn't bounce when we're going along. Look outside, see where we're heading to. You can see the runway ahead of us. Off to the left hand side we've got the 08 left, and we're heading towards 08 right. Let's straighten up, it's just in front of us. Over to our right hand side, that's helicopter takeoffs and landings, so we don't want to go near those. So, just cantering along towards the runway here. What we'll do while we're here, we'll just put in our takeoff flaps. There we go. And we're just approaching the runway. Just slow up, it's a bit uphill here, so we'll just get closer to the runway. There we go, guys. We'll just hold short here. Okay, guys, here we are. We're just at the threshold. Got our takeoff flaps put in. So what we're going to do, we're just going to line up on 08 right. That's our takeoff runway. Takes a bit of effort. The grass can be quite long, so you do need to add a bit of power. Going to like to take off around about 55 to 60 knots, and then a nice straight climb out ahead. So let's do this full power, guys. Just a bit of right rudder to keep the nose in the center of the runway. Eyes are flicking between outside of the cockpit and the airspeed. That's about 50-55, so let's just pull back gently, get a positive climb coming out. There we go. Make sure that we're trimmed so that we're not having to put a lot of back pressure onto the stick. And that's just a bit too high an angle, but no, that's good. We're settling into it, which is great. Climbing out, keeping on our heading of roughly, what, 080. And what we're going to do is we're going to cross a road here, which you'll see here. And then there'll be a farm on our left hand side. We need to just watch that from a noise abatement perspective, but we'll keep climbing out. We can take our flaps away now, so the nose will dip slightly as we bring them up, which I've just done. You see a slight dip there. And we'll start our left turn onto a northerly heading. At Redhill, we climb up to around about 1200 feet is the circuit height, and that just keeps us out of the way of the Gatwick big jets that are flying above us as they come in. Redhill's really interesting. It's right next to Gatwick, so a really good place to learn to fly. There's a lot going on around it, but gets you prepared for most airports, to be honest, and I've learned there it's not difficult once you get used to it. So at this point here in the real world, there's normally a big blue traffic sign down here that we use as our reference point, but we'll start our left turn. This is on the downwind leg, so downwind leg being that we are going to parallel our landing runway but in the opposite direction. We know that we took off on 08 right, so our parallel should be around 260 in terms of heading. So you can see the aerodrome there. We're a little bit, yeah, there we go, 270, 260. Just gone through 1200s. Don't worry too much about the height, guys, in terms of keeping it. You're in a simulator. You're doing this for enjoyment, but you can see the runway there that we're going to land on. And what we'll do is we'll just trim slightly. We'll pull the power back so we've got less of a rate of climb. We normally call downwind around about here, so when we're parallel to the numbers here, you can see that we're nicely going along here. Town off to our right hand side, there's a ridge line here that's quite useful to use as a guide to funnel you forward. And as we come down here, what we're looking for is there is a sewage facility that I use as a key area for turning. And then we're going to go left over the wooded area here and then come back down on ourselves to then land on the runway. So all pretty good so far, guys. See if we can see, yeah, you can see off the nose, this is the sewage facility right here. I'm going to fly directly over that, guys, and then we'll start our left turn as we head over the woods to our left hand side. And from there, we'll take another left turn as we look to line up with the runway. So what we do here is we want to get into the white range for the flaps, which are on our airspeed. So I've pulled the power right back, maintaining altitude, and you can see we've just gone into 80 knots. We'll put the first stage of flaps in, and we'll descend at around, let's say, 70 knots. No power in at the moment, guys, so between 70 and 80 knots, and we're just keeping that descent going down. And we can zoom out a little bit if we want to see our heading indicator. So south is pretty much where we want to be if you think about the compass rose. We're just keeping our descent going. Again, no powers in at the moment. We can see the runway off to our left hand side. Here it is. We're going nicely down the wood. Might want to put a bit of power in just to kind of keep the turn going, but not much, to be honest. Like, we're still descending quite nicely. Let's start a gentle left turn, head between these buildings. We're not heading for the right hand runway, we're heading for the left hand side. The right hand runway is used only in winter. Getting a bit low now. We've gone through the runway, but that's fine. We'll correct it back onto the centre line. So yeah, the one runway on the right hand side, it's a taxiway, not a runway. We use it in the winter. and it lets us fly during the winter months. So nicely on track. Let's put full flaps in now. Just bring the speed back slightly. You'll see that put the full flaps in, and the airspeed is now slower because of the drag that we have from that. Still keeping a bit of power in there. Roughly, if I show you sort of where we are power wise, sort of here. It's 37%, 40%. Let's look back out. Coming in a bit low, we're dragging a bit low. As we raise the nose, let's just over the numbers, we'll kill the power. There we go. Aim at the end of the runway. Let the power bleed off. Hold it, and that's us down, guys. A little bit off to the right hand side of the runway, but nothing too bad. So the trick is, like, kill the power over the numbers, round about sort of 65, 60 knots, and then yeah, it'll just float down. Just take your eyes out the cockpit, look down the runway as you kill that power, and just level off the aircraft. Keep the back pressure on the stick, and what you'll find is that you'll maintain altitude, but your airspeed will start to bleed off, and you'll settle down nice on the runway. Takes a little bit of time to get right, but yeah, hopefully useful, guys. We're just gonna park up here, we'll clean up the airplane, put the flaps, and look, I've been SimScott185. Any questions on this or anything that we do in the real world in terms of general aviation, put them in the comments box. Please like this video, it really helps the channel, and look forward to doing one of these again. Thanks.